Welcome to our fifth Clear Creek County Commissioner Town Hall. Thank you for coming out on this rainy evening, but of course, these days we really appreciate it. I'm Rebecca Lloyd. I'm the current chair of the board. And Jody, do you want to start tonight? Or we're going to give you an overview of what we've done.
Yeah, so I am Jody Hartman Ball. I cover District 3. Of course, we cover the whole entire county, but that's the part that I represent. And I'm going to for the first time, introduce myself as co-chair because I will be taking over chair next year and we're getting closer to that. So I will start off with the things that I've been working on. And are we doing that now or just?
Yes, yeah, that's what I
Okay.
wanted to start on.
Sorry, I just had this look like. Okay. So the Clear Creek Shooting Range, which is part of the rec center now, they're the concierge. It opened July 25th. So that actually was a heavily attended grand opening. Gilpin came over, some National Forest, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and just some people from the public. I have driven by a few times and there's a couple people there. Maybe it'll get more heavily used later. I think the fire ban and some different things are confusing people, but you can still use the shooting range. And I haven't heard if they've started it yet, but there will be axe throwing and, of course, archery. There'll be sight-ins for hunters coming up soon. And I am also part of NOCO Places, which is it has 9 entities, which include Larimer County, Boulder, Jefferson, Gilpin, Clear Creek, National Forest, Denver Parks, and entities like that. And why this is so important to Clear Creek County is land management. We have done a really great job of inviting people to our county, but managing them has been a little bit challenging. I think a lot more people come up. There's activities that are going on that are not so fond by the people that live here, shooting in illegal areas, campfires. Right now, we're in a stage 2, so OHVs are illegal to ride. It's always illegal to ride OHVs on county roads unless you have a license plate. But you cannot go up and do off-roading anywhere in the county. So NOCO Places is working with us to help manage that. They have PR groups. Megan is part of that as well, to get the word out, to educate people, to be prepared when they come to the high country. You're getting off. Rebecca always talks about the flip-flop crowd. You come in from Florida and you see this poster and you're like, oh, I think I'm going to go to Grays and Torreys today. And it's not such a great idea. So NOCO Places is working on videos, posters, and all kinds of information because I don't think anybody wants to get stuck. Our emergency services ends up peeling some of these people off. They get in dangerous situations. So that's where NOCO Places is. We're going to be applying for a grant through NOCO Places, which is through CPW, which is through GOCO. And there's all these pass-throughs, and that's the way the government works these days. CPW will decide if our project is going to be adequate. Last year, we asked for human waste. That did not make it through, but we did get
Management.
human waste study.
Okay.
Not for human waste. Human waste
All we got
study.
was the waste.
Yeah.
No money for
We still have the waste and we don't have studies, so that kind of sucks. But the only part that was accepted was to get some funding for the Taylor Kennedy project, which was securing a piece of land above Silver Plume. And this was in partnership with Silver Plume. So now Silver Plume owns that mountain. And that is where sheep habitat is. There's some mines up there. There's some dangerous situations. They didn't want certain things coming down into town. So that is all we got out of that. So this year we're looking forward to partnering up and getting a lot more. And then I'm also part of childcare, which later these guys will talk about lodging tax, the budget. Currently, we have been working on a childcare Smart Start Scholarship program, and this is in its 3rd year. The EECL will be asking in September. So for Chuck, September 8th, I think it is. We're asking the childcare group to come and make their presentation. So we're not waiting till it's too late. And I think it's going to be similar to last year. But with the lodging tax, we have asked staff to bring us some ballot measures that could work. We've got a survey out. So some of you might have got the survey to fill out, how you feel about the lodging tax going from 2% to 6%. And, we would like to see the child care group go from about 95,000 to 180,000. So that would pretty much double that and be able to really kickstart so our young families have some protection, our workforce. And some people that don't have kids or, may not have lodging in their area, why this is so important to them is I always talk about, like your Taco Bells, your gas stations, your workforce, they have kids and they need places to take these kids. The school district, the enrollment is so far down compared to when I graduated. We need to bring those numbers up. And part of the problem is we just don't have childcare. We're known as a childcare desert. So we're working with that. Mount Blue Sky opened, and I wanted to tell everybody, Clear Creek County citizens can go to the library and you can check out the pass because Denver Parks does charge for that now. You can go and check out a pass just like you check out a book. It's free. You go and then you just return it when you're done. I don't know what happens because they're not open on Sunday, correct? If you just keep it till Monday, you get an extra day. So anyways, I wanted to tell people about that, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. George Marlin.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, Idaho Springs folks. I'm just going to talk about my assignments and then I have some topics I wanted to cover. The categories, one of the categories is behavioral health. I'm appointed to the Jefferson Center for Mental Health Board. That is an organization that serves Jefferson, Clear Creek, and Gilpin counties. It provides safety net behavioral health services, but it also serves what we call self-pay clients, people who are not on Medicaid, like myself. And that's an organization that is, I think, struggling under the burden of HR1 and the state budget, Medicaid reimbursements going down, and some reforms to that system. So we've laid off maybe around 50 people over the last 2 years. Now we're starting to look at what programs we can continue to afford to offer. A very sad decision was made to cut an adult residential recovery program just last month down in Denver. I'm also assigned to the Gateway to the Rockies Opioid Council. That work is a little bit more fun because we do have money to solve problems. This is, you all may have seen in the news about several settlements with pharmaceutical manufacturers and distributors who caused the opioid crisis. And the 3-county region, Jeffco, Clear Creek, Gilpin, has a pot of money to spend on opioid abatement. I view my job down there as helping make sure that those resources get up here. And I think we've had a lot of success. That those settlement funds fund about half of our Mountain Youth Network program. That's youth empowerment, pro-social opportunities for youth. They just had a grand opening in this building of their meetup center, so that they have a place that isn't in a school, that isn't, to come and convene and hang out. And we really, really love the idea that our youth can become comfortable with doctors' offices and public health departments. And, let's say there's a family planning conversation that needs to happen. We sure hope they're comfortable talking to us, or any other conversation. CChat is our co-responder program. So they respond to calls, 911 calls that appear to be behavioral health related. And that is, I'm not going to try to guess at the proportion, but a significant amount of funding for that program is through the GROC. Both of those two programs are entirely grant funded. And the GROC is a big part of that. And then lastly, Advocates for Recovery Colorado right here in this building has a peer recovery coach that is dedicated to Clear Creek County. These are folks that are in recovery themselves. People who are in recovery are incredibly strong and inspirational and can go a long way towards helping folks find their own path to recovery and sustained recovery. I've also been assigned to economic development. I serve on the CCEDC board, Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation. The exciting thing that's happening there is we have created a 2-county resilience team with Clear Creek and Gilpin. We took all of the studies that have been conducted over the last, say, 10 years, and we compiled them into one area with all of the to-dos and all of the observations, and then we prioritized them. Mayor Harmon was part of that process, so were my colleagues. We have 10 subcommittees working on everything from wildfire to, well, that's the one I can think of.
Housing, childcare.
Yeah, thank you.
Broadband.
Yes, the economic development, economic success issues that we've been facing. And we're starting to see some good things come out of that. I also, not by assignment, but just by habit, spend a lot of time doing legislative work. We all are assigned to that. We are members of 3 organizations that lobby the state. Counties engage heavily with the state legislature around bills, and that's because we are subdivisions of the state. Everything that we are allowed to do, we are allowed to do because it says somewhere in statute that we can do it, or in a lot of cases that we have to do it. And so everything from human services and helping people get through Medicaid to, I'm going to continue to struggle to come up with other examples after my first.
Maintaining roads, policing roads,
Yeah.
providing emergency services.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
But specifically for Clear Creek, there is a big need we have, right? Which is that our current, the tax proposals that we can make that our voters can even consider are just a poor fit for our economy. They don't generate enough revenue because of the size of our economy to fund service demand because of the size of visitation and traveling that we get through here. We have made proposals each of the last 8 years to give counties better tax proposal authorities, and someday we will be successful. I also have been appointed to the Clear Creek Fire Authority Board, and I've created a portfolio around fire mitigation that I hope endures. The NOCO Fireshed is a regional partnership that is all of the local governments and like fire mitigation related entities in the Arapahoe Roosevelt. They work to build a coordinated landscape scale strategy within the Arapahoe Roosevelt to figure out how we can spend the limited dollars most effectively and reduce fire risk. I also am on the Clear Creek Watershed Forest Health Partnership Board. That is a regional collaboration that looks to the west into the metro area. There is more than 1 million people that are relying on this part of the Clear Creek watershed and fire risk reduction up here to protect their water supply. And they don't know that we went, I think the number is 16 years without updating our community wildfire protection plan. We're supposed to do it every 5. And we're supposed to get those projects done in between those 5 years. None of those 2 things happened between 2008 and 2026. And so that partnership is really formed in observation of the scale of the work relative to the capacity of the counties where the work needs to be done. A thing that is just started up is a forest improvement district exploration. Forest improvement districts are a special government that can cover a lot of jurisdictions right now they're allowed to propose sales taxes to do forest health work. The idea here is that the 1 million+ people in the metro area, the folks in Evergreen, et cetera, that are relying on us can help pitch in to fund those projects. We have Gilpin County, Jefferson County, City of Golden, and Adams County participating. And because the Clear Creek watershed goes all the way to like I-70 and I-76. So that's a very exciting thing. That's mostly what I focus on and what I've been assigned to. Of course, we all do a whole lot of other stuff in between. One quick highlight, just yesterday, we celebrated the opening of the new Early Childhood Council. This is going to sound repetitive. Clear Creek, Gilpin, and Jeffco do a lot together. We're in the Early Childhood Council. Amber Troutman is in the room here. She's an employee of theirs. And we're really excited. The incumbent Early Childhood Council that had been around for 25 years or so, we felt underserved by. This new one we feel will do a lot better. And that will be my last thing in the childcare space. As I hand this off to Jody, I probably should have handed it to you years ago. But I'm greedy. So I talked about the FID. I also, on
What's the FID?
the Forest Improvement District,
Thank you.
sorry. I also, am supposed to make sure you know that the Forest Service is also upping its game in the fire mitigation space. We had a forest supervisor that really was reticent to try to do forestry projects up here, mostly because of backlash from this community about projects that he had done in the past. Now we have a new district ranger. We are hearing at the county level and everywhere that folks want to see forestry work happen. And they are scoping right now a project in Beaver Brook that's like, I think of it as between Floyd Hill and Evergreen. Really important project and just really great to see them show up. So if you have contact with the U.S. Forest Service, and we all do, the more they hear from members of the public that we want these projects, the more we'll get it done. Lastly, the budget, just a quick update. We have lost a third of our revenues since 2015. We have done a lot since then to control our expenses and raise revenues where we felt the needs were most critical. We started with road and bridge last year. And this is all thanks to the voters, right? The voters passed a sales tax for road and bridge. Last year, voters passed a tax for fire and EMS in the unincorporated portion of the fire authority area. And our structural deficit remains around $6 million a year. Our on paper deficit is like $1.4 million this year. The reason our on paper deficit is not $6 million is because we're doing things like canceling capital projects, understaffing our departments, et cetera. The good news is this is not an emergency. We have a healthy general fund. It has around $15 million in reserves. So we can ride for a while with deficits that look like this. And eventually, for us to solve our budget problem will be solved for us. We can't borrow money. We are not the federal government. It will be a combination of reduced services, economic development, and increased tax rates that balances our budget. And so I always love to encourage people to think about those three variables and where they want them to land. I think, Rebecca, you've been talking, I'm going to leave you talking about what we're doing about the budget this year, because I know you have it on your list. And then just a quick comment on the lodging tax. This is really our best tool. It's our only tool that really is almost purely asking visitors to help pay their way. Been a lot of conversation in the community around emergency services and how much visitation impacts that service demand. We think that this would be really, really appropriate for visitors to help pay for their emergency services costs. So if we can double the child care spend, stabilize housing and marketing, and help sustain our emergency services, that would go a long way, or public safety. And I think that that's it as far as my opening update.
Thank you very much. I'm Rebecca Lloyd. I am the chair of the board for the next 5 months. I didn't know I had a co-chair, but she'll be it in January. As you all know, our budget is tight for many reasons. The most recent reason is that we had a terrible snow year. We had fewer people coming into town and eating and enjoying our services. And then because we had a terrible snow year, we've had a terrible rafting year. So we have fewer people coming up to raft and then go out to lunch and enjoy our county. We've also faced a decrease in state funding, primarily because of the decrease in federal funding from the HR 1, the big, beautiful bill that was passed, has severely cut back in our funding that we usually get. The decrease in visitors also can be affected by the high price of gas. So we have kind of like this perfect storm this year, which we're hoping will improve next year. Today's rain is very much appreciated. We have been working to shrink our expenditures, as George alluded to, by consolidating our offices, selling buildings, and we're also looking at this lodging tax. And I wanted to expand a little bit more on that. We did get a win from the state in that we were only allowed to charge a 2% lodging tax on like short-term rentals and hotels and and B&Bs and things like that. But the state did say counties can seek approval for going up to 6% lodging tax. And that, I think, is totally fair because we get 10 million visitors in a year. And we're a county of about 9,100 people. So if we can get them to pay a little bit more in lodging taxes, we can use that to help, get the message out about, yes, come to Clear Creek, be a good tourist, but then come into town, have lunch, go shopping. Don't just mountain bike and leave. And to bring in some of the people, that are traveling by for lunch and whatever. But that money also can help childcare for workers and lodging, housing for our workers. So it will help our visitors, give back to the county that is supporting them. We also have, in addition to lodging, childcare, and housing, housing, childcare, and what were the three? Shoot, sorry, I just spaced on it. But tourism. Thank you. Just said that. We also can use some of that money toward shoring up even more our emergency services. We realized that we had a need in this county because we needed our emergency services to help protect us. And then after this bad snow year, rafting year, etc., we realized we also could use some money from our tourists, our visitors, to have some funding for our emergency services to help them. So when they put on their flip-flops at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and decide to go climb a 14er and get in trouble, our emergency services can be there for them. Let's see, we've had some concerns about Charlie's Place. I have adopted 2 dogs from there, including our current one. It's something that's very valued in this community, and we've had lots of meetings about Charlie's Place. We currently have a partnership with Gilpin to help support it. Gilpin's wondering if they can afford to support it anymore. So we are scrambling. We are, looking to Friends of Charlie's Place and everyone and their brother to help us fund this benefit to our community. So no decisions have been made at all. It hasn't even come before the board. We've just had working sessions with people, and when I mean come before the board for a vote, we've had working sessions to figure out how we can address fully funding it and making it safe for the people who do work there, et cetera. I serve on the Clear Creek Regional Housing Board. It's a voter approved initiative to support affordable housing in Clear Creek County, funded by lodging taxes. We have a new director whose office is like kitty corner across the hall over there, Erica Duvik. We have this late spring received a Colorado Department of Local Affairs grant for deed restricted affordable housing in Georgetown. And Erica is the county's former grant writer, and she's a go-getter about going after other grants. So we feel very good about that. I serve on the I-70 Coalition Board and the Collaborative Effort Board, which both monitor CDOT's work to help minimize adverse impacts to local communities. The Collaborative Effort Board kind of holds CDOT's feet to the fire to obey the EPA mandated record of decision and all of the requirements in it. And then the I-70 Coalition is kind of a lobbying group that will advocate on behalf of the communities along I-70. So it's not just Clear Creek, it's Summit, it's Eagle County. And we work together basically to protect our communities. The good news is that you probably all noticed that their blasting operations have finally wound down. They are doing night rock scaling, other work still. And they also will be working on a traffic circle near the Hidden Valley exit that goes under the highway over to Squatch area. So that I mean, obviously, if you drive by, there's a lot of work still to do. We've got the pillars, but we don't really have the flyovers yet. But
They announced they're halfway through.
they did yesterday, as a matter of fact. And just something fun. I was able to sponsor an AP government student last week who's learning about county government and the Board of County Commissioners. So that's one of the fun things we get to do. And then lastly, I've been working on, as we all have, this wildfire mitigation efforts. I did go to the meeting off of Beaver Brook Canyon, talking about how to mitigate. I mean, first of all, we go to this beautiful field that's completely dry. I mean, all the grasses are dry. We don't have the late wildflowers that we usually get after the snow melts. So the Forest Service is taking it very seriously. They are pleased that our community is now much more receptive to wildfire mitigation work than they were maybe 10 years ago when that farmer director had such pushback about why are you cutting down our trees? I think people get it now. So I know one frustration is when they clear an area and they leave those kind of TP piles of slash, they have to wait. We don't have the time or the resources to load all that up and take it down the hill to dispose of it. So they wait until we've had a good snowstorm and it's safe so they can burn those piles. And because we haven't had such a storm in the last year or so, there's still a lot of slash piles around, but they know about that. They promised us they would be addressing that. So I think that's enough from me, but what do you all want to hear about? What are your concerns? I'm going to pick on County Commissioner candidate Chris Gould sitting in the back there.
I'd like to hear some more. George, you mentioned the economic resilience team that's working with CEDC. Can you talk a little bit more about what the priorities that have been identified through all of that? You said kind of taking all these studies, smashing them together and seeing what squeezes out of it. But I don't know if you.
George, are you on one of the groups?
I'm on the wildfire group.
Yeah, and Rebecca's on
Housing.
and I'm on childcare. And then other people, Chuck is on the mobility hub. So all elected officials, even Georgetown, Empire, and staff are dedicated to, we kind of had to like pick a group. I actually picked food desert.
That's a good one too.
Just because nobody else was there. And then I got somebody moved me back into childcare just because more people signed up for childcare. But we could potentially be a total food desert. At the time when this started, Safeway was on the chopping block in Idaho Springs. And what does that do? That doesn't cut just Clear Creek off, it cuts Gilpin off. for the people that live on this side, the south side. So like Jeff Aiken and I think Jeanette, is it Peel?
Peel, from
From
Empire.
Empire. So they're
Jeff
on that.
Aiken from Gilpin.
Yeah, Jeff Aiken from Gilpin, he's a commissioner. So we all were dedicated to kind of get together, and Amber is also part of the resilience team. There's quite a few people for the childcare. It's like overwhelmingly a lot of people. Mitch Houston. It's just people identified in the community to figure it out. I mean, when I joined the Clear Creek Regional Resilience team, I thought we were going to bring them our problems and they were going to figure it out. But they have gotten us in kind of quarterly. What's the problems? What's the problems with Dr. Cog? And we identified quite a few, and then they narrowed those down because it was too many. And they're like, how are you going to solve this problem?
Yeah, or Flo from Dr. Cog helped coordinate
Yeah,
us.
Flo from Dr. Cog.
Yes.
And she's kind of like gave us our wings, and now we're spreading out. And I think the childcare group is pretty active. Some of the other groups are not so active. They're still finding their places. Food Desert, when I was there, we were trying to figure out how we were going to get food to communities. Even with our Safeway, where 15% of people don't drive in the Dumont, Lawson, Downeyville area. So how do you get food to people like that? We have the roundabout, which is one thing. And for people that don't want to ride the roundabout, or because of limited times when Save Loaves and Fishes, it's Tuesdays and Fridays only, they can go get food. We thought about
Oh, wow.
maybe we could put boxes of food on the roundabout. And then as that goes around, somebody just shows up. They don't have to ride the bus or anything. They can just like pick out some items. That's just some of the stuff that we were coming up with. And the childcare, ours was just funding. And they didn't want to hear that because they said everybody needs funding. We're like, no, literally, we have the plan drawn out. We have the place. We have the project. We just need funding. And then these guys can talk about their groups or other groups.
Well, I think I've addressed housing, but
I'll finish out the list. We have a group that's focused on what's probably best described as visitor leakage. We have data that shows that a stunning number of proportion of the visitors that come to Clear Creek are just Metro residents, and they're up here kind of a lot. And they tend not to shop when they're up here. And so we're calling that visitation leakage. And we're trying to figure out how, from marketing to business development, et cetera, we can address that and get more spend out of our Metro neighbors that are up here all the time. So that's called the visitor leakage.
and a good example of that is the Floyd Hill open space. They'll come up, they'll park, they'll take a hike or a mountain bike ride, and then they'll go home. As opposed to the Argo, which is a little bit closer to town, and they might spend some money there, but
Yeah.
that I thought that was a great example right in your district.
I want to say something too, like even if we're not in that group, because NoCo Places, when I listen to George and them talk about the leakage, I think, how can I figure this out with other groups, NoCo Places? So when we build trails, do we really need trails to be really far away? Or do we want to build trails that go right down into towns? Or how can we bus people around or things like that? So we're not just exclusively only working on that one group. I guess maybe as commissioners, we're a little more open to other things.
Yeah, I mean, we touch a lot of stuff. And I mean, this also includes like, we spent decades marketing Mount Pierstat while the parking lot was full,
Oh.
right? We're shifting our marketing strategies in response to this data. We're marketing at Mount Pierstat.
To come to town.
To come to town, right? Because Mount Pierstat markets itself. All you have to do is drive up there any day. That's just one example, right? We think that there's probably a mismatch between these consumers and what our businesses are offering. And so there's an economic, there's a business development arm of this effort, which is helping businesses understand, hey, there's a lot of people in the community, and here's what we think they're looking for, right? And trying to figure out how to tie those two marketing efforts. Can we market the businesses that the data shows these people want to know about? And at the same time, can we help these businesses become that? So that's visitor leakage. There's a group that's focusing on hotels, that's focusing on how to get occupation rates up in hotels to identify if we think there's a solid business case for additional hotels around. Hotels are force multipliers in tourism economies, right? There is a workforce development committee that is really focusing on our workforce development systems, whether they're adequate. Super, super high stakes around this right now because everybody on Medicaid and SNAP is going to be having to be looking for jobs or be employed or be volunteering. Outdoor rec. This came up around where are there opportunities where outdoor rec can be expanded for economic gain. The example I love to use is 6th Street in Georgetown, which runs its tourism when the Georgetown Loop is open. I used to manage the Georgetown Market. It runs like a Swiss clock, right? You get waves of tourists in and out all summer long because of that attraction. And then in the winter, it's a ghost town.
Except for Christmas time.
Except for Christmas market. And so, is there a case to be made that focusing on winter recreation on Guanilla Pass is, has real economic benefit? The recreation conversation in a lot of ways does not, right? Getting people to go up Herman Gulch just doesn't really get a lot for us. So there's that one. And then there is a group that's focusing on services for our aging population. We are one of the oldest counties in the state of Colorado, and our aging population, like the rest of our demographic categories, this is my opinion, are underserved. And so we've got a group focusing on that. And then just one little piece of context about this resilience team and why I'm so excited about it. We tried, when we found out about that we were going to lose a lot of our revenues in 2015, we tried this. We got a grant. We hired a consultant. We were going to chart our economic future as this leadership ecosystem, the county, the cities, all these different agencies that we've been discussing. And it went so poorly that we fired the consultant and promised never to try to work together again, basically.
Oh, no.
And I actually, one of the reasons I decided to run, and this is why I talked about collaboration so much while I was running. And I think this is evidence of we don't have a high paid consultant. This is just us locals. There's a whole lot of members of the business community and just interested locals. You all are welcome to join these groups too. Actually the fire team needs help. And I think it shows we have come a really, really long way in figuring out how to do hard conversations well in this county. Back when we had one single large employer, we did not have to do that. We could just sort of pay for those conversations to go away. And I'm really proud of the whole ecosystem for coming together and putting in the effort. And I'll stop at that. I'll end the rambling. What else?
Yeah. Chuck, did you have any questions?
Hey, Jody, being the math geek that I am, I just want to make sure that I have the stats right. Should we go with 6% and it passes on the logic? We're going to go from about 95,000 a year for childcare to 190. Is that correct?
180, 190. That's
Okay.
what we're looking at. It'd be around 20% of what we would collect is the numbers. It would be
For childcare.
10 would be dedicated, and we're still deciding on the ballot language, like what that's going to look
Oh,
like.
and there's a survey out. If you get it, please fill it out, send it in.
Yeah. Because what we're trying to do is secure this. So when this board isn't here, the voters still, what they vote for is what they're going to get. So if they want to protect childcare and that's what they vote for, we don't want, 10 years down the road, that money to go to something totally different. Because this is the need. They'll have to go back to the voters and ask for that to be changed.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your work on this because it's odd how one thing affects the other. Like George just mentioned in a meeting I was at with George earlier, that about 75% of our employees that work here in the county commute in.
Yeah.
And there are several reasons, obviously we know, but one of them is because if you have kids, you're out of luck.
Yep.
This absolutely is a childcare desert, so that's got to affect that. And then my last question, and I apologize, I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do we know approximately ballpark what Mitch is short for getting
So the numbers changed a little bit, but last I heard was about $1.5 million.
okay.
And that was him actually sacrificing some things,
Yeah.
which was some seats.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that it's kind of like to get us to the bare minimum.
Yeah,
And
he's
maybe-
trying to get like 50 seats, right?
Well, originally it was more like 60.
It was 69 to start
Yeah,
with,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're right. If we can at least get it started
Yeah.
and build momentum, then we might be able to get more funding.
Yeah.
Good work and hey, lastly, I saw county employee Lisa leaving yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I had to thank her. I know it was a heavy lift getting the shooting range open. But, doesn't really matter if you live in a city limit somewhere or a town or just way out a dirt road here in the county somewhere. That constant pow, 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 interrupting your weekends, but also the fire danger that it brings.
Yeah.
Oh, when people are illegally shooting in the forest. Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that they have somewhere to go, I'm just saying, we're all benefiting from that shooting range, whether you use it or not.
Yeah.
So I had to thank her for all her work on that. But
He
that
really
was-
stuck it out. I heard that was a 13-year project.
Oh, my gosh.
So when
I
we
no
had the
idea.
dedication thing, we thanked a lot of former commissioners and, other people that came to the table. And when I was at NOCO Places, there was even more names that were tossed out, all the partnerships that went into that too and the funding. And one of the interesting things that I found out when we talk about excise taxes and taxing things like services, we don't tax services in the unincorporated area, but when they were talking about where the funding came for that, for some of it, it was off of ammunition.
Oh.
The excise tax that's on the ammunition paid for the shooting range. So that just got me thinking, like, there's just different ways to tax things, and we just need those tools and to be able to do it. That's a state statute, the limitations, but
Really good job on those last two items.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it being in Idaho Springs and, if we didn't talk about the closures, this was initiated because we had people not knowing that they were shooting into homes. We had Clear Creek County residents pulling bullets out of their siding of their homes.
Because there were trees in the way. They didn't know there were houses over there.
Yeah, and shooting at trees is, not cool anyway, but especially when there's a house behind it. So there is a map. It's if you look up like U.S. Forest Service recreational sport shooting closures, you can find the record of a decision. There is a map. Knowing where the people in the room live, I will say that those closures start on Mill Creek just past, what's the name of that road?
wagon wheel.
Wild Wagoneer, just
Yeah.
past Wild Wagoneer, but then getting a good portion of it, a good portion of the area around Empire. The closures that Idaho Springs appreciated so much happened when the Forest Service finished the Devil's Nose shooting range.
Mhm.
So if you live in Idaho Springs and you're hearing less shooting on Montaigne, or if you're less worried we'll get another shooting related fire on Montaigne, you can thank Tim Mock and you can thank a whole lot of people, Lisa Lieben, et cetera.
And these closures are for some reason a little bit different from when the Devil's Nose opened. And I think Clear Creek has sacrificed a lot. We have 2 shooting ranges in our county, where some of these other counties, they didn't touch it. But those were like immediate at noon when that opened. This one's going to take till next year because of things that's going on at the federal level. Max just did warn that don't expect this like immediately.
And this is the closing of parts of the U.S. Forest Service land.
Yeah, so that's
The
in the
shooting.
works, but as we all know, the federal government works very slow and there's a lot of complications. They've also been really busy with the fires. Max is on the fire watch, so they get called out. He was able to make it to that grand opening for just a little bit because they have to head back out to the fires and they're boots on the ground for that. So, but yeah, we're super excited. Next year's going to bring a lot of change, I think.
So are there any other questions? Shane, what do you want to know?
Oh no.
All the questions.
Amber,
I don't have any questions, no, just happy to be here and yeah, learn.
well, thank you all for coming. Dawn, any?
Is the person online have a
No,
question?
no. You guys are good? I think you've come to these before, so you've heard it.
She's ready. I
Okay.
challenge Nancy to have a different question every time.
Oh, okay.
I have a whole list. I was checking to make sure there was no fires.
Ah, good, good.
Also caveat, I'm like the crazy lady with crazy ideas today. And I'll say anything just to get people thinking. So if we can't tax unincorporated or business services in unincorporated parts of the county, can we incorporate parts of the county that have a high concentration of business that are taxable otherwise?
That's an interesting point because municipalities have more authority to tax than unincorporated counties do. That is a huge undertaking. I
That
think-
wouldn't help our budget out either. And if they say incorporated in the Dumont area, because we do have businesses there, they don't provide EMS or fire authority. So that would be a complication of how to move funds around, or would you just want Idaho Springs to cover? Georgetown like doesn't even have a police department anymore. So the county has taken on a lot of responsibility. So it's more like, how can the counties figure this out? How can we be given the tools that municipalities do have? Is what we're looking at.
And just to add to that, I think when you look at the fixed costs of a municipal government, probably not generating enough to meaningfully change service levels on the businesses that exist in any of these areas you might think about today.
They're pretty spread out because you think of Loveland ski area, Echo ski area, and then rafting is just up and down the creek. So
Yeah, are municipalities allowed to tax rafting?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm looking at Chuck, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you tax the rafting tickets?
Well, the answer is no. However, this is going to be on the ballot this year.
Oh, okay.
So we would be looking at $3.
Mhm.
And not to split hairs. But we don't, and we have not taxed the rafting, but they voluntarily give us $1 a head.
Okay.
So that brought in about $48,000 last year. But we would replace it with this $3 outdoor tax.
Okay. And that would help you pay for the launching sites that are in Idaho Springs and such.
They ask for that every year.
Mhm.
And it's just that at $1, it takes multiple years for us to do any kind of a meaningful improvement.
Sure.
So this absolutely would speed that up. And this would also be extended to the gondola, which right now, again, just because the state considers that an intangible, there's not a red cent of tax on those lift tickets either.
So if you ride the gondola, also go in their shop and buy something because that is taxed. Yep. Well, any other questions?
man,
We have one person online,
Oh, thank you.
but I have not seen their hand raised. Full disclosure, I know who it is and I texted them and asked them if they had a question.
Thank you. We gave them the opportunity
Yes.
and thank you for joining.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did have folks from Idaho Springs at 2 of our previous town halls. So I wonder if the need has been met.
Well, there we go. But we're happy to be here and happy you all came. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.